Local dignitaries and war widows hammered wooden crosses into the new lawn beside Christchurch Cathedral. Each remembered a husband lost during or after war. The ceremony is a relatively new tradition to Newcastle, this its third year. To mark the occasion, the little patch of green is now the War Widows' Field of Remembrance.
It's just wonderful because it's always going to be here. It'll be here forevermore for our children and grandchildren to follow on.
During the church service, Dean of Newcastle Graham Lawrence told of his wish for Anzac Day 97. He wants people to use the day to come together at a time when he fears the community is being torn apart.
Many people gave their lives in order that we could enjoy freedom and acceptance of one another in this community, and I see there are some powerful forces trying to divide the community.
Meanwhile, service clubs are preparing for their busiest day of the year. One Wallsend club aims to press home the state government's No More It's Law campaign on serving intoxicated patrons. Management of the ACE of clubs say they aren't out to ruin anyone's Anzac Day.
They're just reminded of our policies and what is expected of them, and for their own benefit that they should perhaps miss the next round and if not, try a cup of coffee.
Phil Hind, NBN News.
Under-manager Michael Coffey again spent most of today being questioned at the Newcastle inquiry, which is now into its 7th week. He has conceded he took no action to draw the issue of the water seepage to the attention of other deputy managers because he considered it wasn't a significant problem and the water had disappeared. Michael Coffey claims Alistair McLean, who wrote the report detailing the water problem, commented to him it's not anything to worry about, it's only a trickle. Mr McLean's comments clearly contradict his written report, yet Michael Coffey was satisfied the matter didn't need further investigation. Mr Coffey claims he thought the water was probably from a nearby dike and therefore just part of the natural flow of water. A large part of today's discussion also focused on Mr Coffey's knowledge of the mine maps. The inquiry has previously been told miners were working off inaccurate maps. Jenny Crouch, NBN News. A shopfront in the centre of Gosford has been converted into the youth facility. It's been on the drawing board for more than 12 months and has been supported by the city's youth, the Gosford Youth Services, council and local businesses.
St George have helped us with the project with $39,000, which means we can afford the rent for the next 3 years.
The centre will offer counselling and legal advice, as well as providing young people with a place to meet and perform. A large group of people has been working on the centre since January, and yet there was still plenty of last-minute preparations ahead of today's official opening. And as part of Youth Week, a video aimed at reducing binge drinking and violence has been launched at Avoca. It's been made by young people and focuses on ways to avoid excessive drinking.
We employed an actor who came along and assisted us to develop the scenarios, and in a playback theatre style where the young people acted it out and then changed the outcome to a more positive outcome.
In 1980, a much younger Tom Raudonikis captained New South Wales in a fiery inaugural State of Origin clash with Queensland. 17 years later, Raudonikis is back, today named as Blues coach. It's a sensitive moment for the man of nails, who's the first player to both captain and coach the Blues.
It means a lot to me, to have captained the first one sort of thing, and then getting the job now. So I'll go out there and I'll just remember the first game too, and we got beat. And there was a bit of a stink up in the game too, so it brings back a lot of memories.
Raudonikis had little time for celebration. His mind is set on tomorrow's clash with City. The City players checked in for their date at Marathon Stadium earlier this afternoon, followed by a light training run.
We've got a good team here, a couple of young blokes and some old hard nuts, and
like normal city country games, it's always a tough game, and I think it's just a battle of attrition.
City centre Jamie Ainscough has been forced out with a knee injury. He'll be replaced by Sydney City's Shane Riggin. Country had their last training run today and will relax up until game time. Tomorrow's clash would give Rhodonicus an ideal opportunity to select a New South Wales squad. However, his attention will be on one team only.
I'll be mainly just worried about my blokes tomorrow night, because that's my job, and that's what I'll be really looking at.
Blake Doyle, NBN News.
The rumble of overnight thunderstorms did its bit to help awaken memories of long-ago battles as diggers prepared to march in memory of their mates. At Gosford, it was vintage cars for veteran soldiers, as rain held off for the Central Coast's biggest march. The last of the First World War diggers have faded out, but among the ranks today, soldiers from Vietnam, the Gulf War and Somalia. Increasingly, it's the young people marching with pride to help preserve the Anzac spirit. Grandchildren, scouts, guides, naval and air corps cadets provided the Guard of Honour. Big crowds also turned out at services throughout the Hunter Valley.
Hunter finished its preparation for Saturday's game indoors this morning with coach Graham Murray talking tactics. The side, minus Tony Iro, watched Cronulla in action. Murray quietly confident his team can repeat the efforts of Adelaide in stealing the competition points.
I think there's a little bit of similarity in everyone. They would have picked up something about our play, but hopefully we've picked up a little bit about their play.
The Mariners are cautious of the Sharks. Today's special mention was made of their kicking game.
It's pretty common knowledge that they're good in the air. Barnett, Rogers, Peachy, Eddinghausen, they're pretty good, so why not use that as a tactic?
Hunter is coming off 2 wins from 2, but their away record isn't so flash. They've yet to win a road game.
I think we've got to contain fellas like Green, Eddinghausen and particularly Nick Howe. They're very dangerous players, and I think we can contain those. We'll go a long way to winning.
Jonathan Upton, NBN News. Newcastle was relying on its Origin stars getting through last night's Sydney Country match. The good news today was that they have. Despite the usual bumps and bruises, all 5 players have been past fit to take the field again on Sunday. Of concern to the Knights, though, is that sighting of Paul Harrigan. Chief earned a meeting with the tribunal after this king hit on Colin Ward. He'll still be able to play against the Steelers this weekend. Centre Adam McDougall may not be as lucky. He's nursing an ankle injury and will be given until Sunday afternoon to prove his fitness. And the Mariners' Tony Iro has been cleared to back up after his efforts with New Zealand last night in the Super League test. The Kiwi international will start from the bench in the Mariners' clash tonight against Cronulla. Country first entered the match with an undefeated record against the Sydney Metros, but the boys from the bush were held to a scoreless first half. The second term looks set to deliver more action. Country found possession and a perfectly weighted grubber found Brett Cullen. 4-0, Country again opted for the boot, but Metro bombed their efforts at increasing the lead with scrambling defence, until Dean Sadler finally caught the visitors off guard. It may not have been the most entertaining try, but that was to follow. 8 sets of hands and some great backing up down the grandstand touchline gave Country an unassailable lead. It was fantastic stuff, so too the kicking game of Brett Christensen. He landed 2 goals to take the final scoreline to 16-0. It may still be the start of the season, but the Bulls already have injury concerns. That, coupled with the loss of New South Wales country representatives Steve Merrick, Tim Rapp and Bradley Schultz, didn't help their cause in today's game against Hamilton. The opening half was tough. Singleton opened the scoring with a long-range penalty goal before Hamilton replied when Daniel McGavin's lightning inside pass found a flying Robbie McNaughton. A Hamilton penalty made it a 5-point ball game, and the locals were unlucky not to increase the lead further. They dominated the first half, their persistent efforts finally rewarded against a tired Singleton defence. Netball in the first home game for Charlestown in the Inter-District Division 1 competition, the opposition, Parramatta Auburn. The locals raced to a 14-8 quarter-time lead. Goal attack Amy Mansfield continuing Charlestown's role in the second term by landing her first 2 attempts. The visitors could do little right under the pressure of a determined hometown defence, the locals' lead ballooning to 12 goals at the main break. Parramatta Auburn failed in its bid for a second-half comeback. One match this afternoon in the Newcastle Women's Hockey Premiership, Novo's first doing just as they should by knocking over the seconds. But without a number of regular first graders in the top team, they did it tough. In fact, the underdogs nearly escaped with a draw. With only 40 seconds left on the clock, the Ones netted their second for an unconvincing victory. Accomplice and Shane Dye, the winner, he paid $4.50 and $1.80, $1.20 for the favourite Chief De Beers, Poetic King returning $2.10. Not much value in either the Quinella or the Trifecta. Racing today was also at Rosehill Gardens in Sydney, where the 6th event on the program was the 2,000 metre Coca-Cola Handicap. $9.40 and $2.80. The 8-2 Quinella paid $15.70 and the Trifecta $3.43.50. The 7th event on the program was the 1,300 metre Sydney Bitter Handicap. Made it a winning double for jockey Johnny Marshall. Dane Ripper paid $2.10 and $1.30, $1.50 and $2.90 for the places. The Quinella $2.60 and the Trifecta a little more than $30.
It's believed the woman was suffering from dementia, and there doesn't appear to be any suspicious circumstances at this stage.
Like a writhing rainbow serpent, hundreds of brightly coloured cyclists wound their way along Newcastle's foreshore today, signalling the end of the 1997 RTA Big Bike Ride. A large crowd came out to welcome the 1,500-strong contingent, which had pedalled its way from Tamworth to Newcastle in 9 days. Covering almost 600 kilometres, the riders managed to raise $160,000 for the Multiple Sclerosis Society. The popular cycling adventure attracted 70 international riders, among them an English couple who raised $6,000 alone. Having their tandem bike stolen in Cessnock, they say, simply made the trip all the more memorable.
Yeah, it was a bit of a downer, but within an hour and a half, the Aussies had got us up on other bikes, cobbled things together, got us back on the road, and we didn't miss a kilometre. So, you know, with their humour and their guts and determination, they called us through.
Meanwhile, for these Tamworth newlyweds, the trip doubled as a comic, if not romantic, honeymoon. The bride, Annette Hurd, who has MS herself, says the ride helps people to realise the only limits they have are the ones they place on themselves.
Not to give up, keep on fighting, keep on exercising, and I've been in a wheelchair and I'm out.
Simone Cobb, NBN News. Alarmed at Council's approval of the service station complex last week, angry parents voiced their concerns outside Warners Bay High School today. The $3.5 million development will see a service station, Hungry Jack's restaurant, bottle shop and video store built on the corner of King and Medcalf streets.
It will be more dangerous because of the enticement of a hamburger outlet across the road from the school. We already have McDonald's, which is causing a great problem as students come before and after school and pop over and weave in and out of the traffic.
Councillors, local MP Richard Face and RTA representatives met with the group, outraged that the plans had been passed with no provisions for pedestrian safety.
We have had no consultation. The school weren't even informed that the decision was going to be made last Monday night.
Councillor Milton Orkopoulos criticised Council's handling of the matter and put forward a rescission motion to stop the development until safety issues are addressed.
There are 25,000 vehicular movements along this street. There are 1,200 students at Warners Bay High School. That's a volatile mix.
Council will vote on the rescission motion on Monday night. Simone Cobb, NBN News.
The Mariners lost 26-0 at Shark Park. Considering this, they should be happy it wasn't a 32-point deficit. It was a whitewash result for Cronulla. Not surprisingly, coach Graham Murray wasn't impressed.
No, certainly not. We didn't play well, and to lose Johnny, Carlo and Robbie Ross pretty early, I think that hurt us.
Anthony Brand also felt the pain. The Mariners were going to cite Craig Greenhill over this high shot until Super League beat them to the mark. He's been charged with a Grade 3 careless tackle. Brand is recovering.
Left Anthony pretty sick and sorry.
The loss was Hunter's sixth this season. Their next match is against Canterbury in a fortnight. Tri-Series action takes the limelight in this week's split round. It will give the Mariners a chance to recover from niggling injuries.
Yeah, we've got a couple, and there's a few blokes split on Saturday night as well, so probably gives us a week to get over things, and the boys are having a week off training just to recharge the batteries and come again next Monday.
The Rosellas had it their own way right from kick-off in this afternoon's match at Harker Oval. The home side played their own brand of touch football against what can only be termed as woeful defence. West led 18-0 after only 10 minutes. Their fourth try of the afternoon came in a similar easy style. The Rosellas hardly working up a sweat. 42-0 at half-time, and West lead only increased in the second term. The Pumpkin Pickers returning with an embarrassing defeat. To the NRL ladder, and Lake's huge win over Waratah Mayfield puts them in outright first position. West, Curry and North Nelson Bay are on 6 points, and after their fourth consecutive loss, the Cheetahs are the only team yet to register points. Words of encouragement from a familiar face last night. Former Falcons coach Tom Wisman joined an enthusiastic home crowd to watch Newcastle's attempt at bouncing back into form. The locals started well, individual brilliance from Tony Jensen, followed up by similar team efforts, the Falcons sending a warning to the Suns before the visitors found their mark as well, issuing the perfect reply. Much of the first quarter was spent on the floor, but after one too many stints on the deck, it almost got out of hand. Townsville went to the first break with a 7-point advantage before the young guns slashed the lead through Ben Melmoth. And just as Newcastle looked set to cloud the visitors' attack, the Suns found space again to take an entertaining 66-55 lead to the main change. Townsville was hoping for a runaway result, and its plan was being put into action until 5 minutes before the siren when the Falcons started a 3-point revival. First Tony Jensen, then Butch Hayes, And when the captain landed another, Newcastle had control. Hayes was fouled out of the game with only a couple of minutes on the clock, but his efforts and Jensen's 28-point haul were the backbone of Newcastle's victory. Conceding only 38 points in the second half, it was smiles all around in the dressing rooms, praise from Wiseman and Dennis alike.
That's a hell of a job because we got focused on our whole defence, we got focused on good ball pressure, and we stopped turning the ball over. Three things that we're going to get very, very good at. Three things we're going to get really good at.
Two public workshops were held today to thrash out plans for the main event, which will be held at City Hall over 5 days in early June. Today's workshops have canvassed how local businesses and community groups can be involved in the international event. It follows the 1992 Rio Earth Summit and will be attended by leaders from across the globe.
The Mayor of Rio, the Premier will be here. We've got mayors of many cities, including Dublin, here as well, and it's going to be a fantastic event for Newcastle.
Titled Pathways to Sustainability, the conference will look at how areas like Newcastle can develop in a way which meets both our environmental and economic needs. Mr Hawkins says the conference is timely, given last week's BHP decision to downsize its Newcastle operation.
Everybody in Newcastle, jobs and environment will continue to be priority issues. That being the case, we need to really define some of those new employment opportunities, and it's very clear to me that sustainable energy is an area developing for Newcastle.
A range of other activities will be run alongside the event at the Honeysuckle site, including a community fair and a schools debating competition. Jenny Crouch, NBN News.
Nine years after the shooting death of Central Coast horse trainer Alan Hall, 33-year-old Damon Cooper faced Newcastle's Supreme Court today, charged with murder. On the 29th of June 1988, Hall was found dead on his Warnervale property from gunshot wounds to his neck and chest. Early last year, 3 men were arrested for the murder. prominent boxing trainer Sess Waters, his son Dean and friend Damon Cooper. In his opening statement today, Crown Prosecutor Paul Lynch told the jury that Sess Waters had instructed Dean and Cooper to kill Hall, his wife's lover. The prosecutor said Sess Waters launched a campaign of terror against Hall and in orchestrating it used his son Dean and friend Cooper to carry out his dirty work. 3 weeks ago, Sess Waters died from a heart attack. In a videotaped police interview presented to the court, Cooper said he was pressured into shooting Hall by Sess Waters. He said he could see the power Sess Waters had over people and was sucked in himself. Cooper told police that Sess Waters made this bloke Hall out to be some big monster that was a threat to his family and should be stopped. He'd already got his wife and that I should do the job on my own. In the same police interview, Cooper said he didn't want to go through with the shooting, but did because Sess Waters was going to take me and shoot me and make it look like a drug bungle. The trial continues tomorrow. Simone Cobb, NBN News. More than just playing games, this group of students is learning how to lose their inhibitions and express themselves freely. Part of a drama course at Warners Bay High School, 8 of the students are on a 3-week exchange from Thailand, accompanied by 2 teachers. The group's visit is the first cultural exchange of its kind in the region. The group has experienced many facets of Australian life, the focus on performing arts helping to overcome the language barrier.
Because it's a creative and performing arts emphasis, it's made the communication much more easy because we've focused on music, we've focused on art, we've focused on drama, and they've all been essentially hands-on things.
With no drama or art courses in the Thai school curriculum, it's the first time the group has taken such classes, which has helped boost their confidence.
Have a time knowing each other, and drama is very good because you can show your feeling and your ability when you study drama.
The entire school turned out for a farewell presentation today. A group of Warners Bay students will return the visit next year. Simone Cobb, NBN News.
For residents of Raymond Terrace, scenes like this will soon be just a memory. The holiday traffic that brings the town to a virtual standstill will be diverted by the long-awaited bypass.
It'll totally separate the through traffic from the local traffic. It'll make it a lot safer and a lot easier to get through and should get rid of the delays.
As far back as 1960, the reserve was put aside for the bypass. It's taken more than 30 years of discussion and planning to get the $56 million project underway. Now a dual carriageway instead of the single-lane highway as originally planned, an extra $24 million has been allocated to duplicate the roadworks and bridges. The 6-kilometre southbound carriageway is almost complete. So are 2 bridges at Mount Hall and Richardson Roads.
There's a lot of work yet to be done. There's the 6 new bridges which are to be built, plus pavements to be put on most of the roadworks that have been built to date.
Work on the northbound carriageway and interchange will begin shortly, and extensive landscaping is planned for the area. And for those who enjoyed seeing the old fighter plane at Raymond Terrace, there's something to make sure you don't miss out. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.